is a book review of the Epic Collection, X-Men, Proteus. Now, Proteus, like quite a few of these epics, they always seem to choose a title from the end. And personally, I suppose since Proteus is sort of like change, I guess maybe there's a bit of change, but it's just an odd title, since I would have thought the Magneto storyline maybe is more thing. And so, again, Claremont, Byrne and Austin, as well as, of course, a number of others. And there's a great, just got to show you the the contents page, as well as, of course, all the people that have contributed to this book. Letterers, inkers, etc., colorists, all the people that really, really go to produce this amazing book. And really, really love this period of X-Men. This was where I started really getting into X-Men. I bought some of the earlier X-Men comics, but this was for me, really, the X-Men that I followed from the American comics. The X-Men, the original X-Men, mainly from British comics. Well, the first story, I'll go through the stories in a sec. Now, the book is actually, how many pages is this? It's actually quite a thin epic collection. I'm not certain why they couldn't include another 150, 200 pages, but I guess just how it all maps out in terms of the omnibus editions, etc. So it just seems there's obviously some bonus material, it's colour and that. Now, the gutter is quite close, so it's quite crunched in there. Not terrible because there's no double page particularly, so it's not a big issue. But there's it holds open okay. It's like all epic collections do. Now, the book came out this year. It's fairly recent, only a couple of weeks actually. And the period it covers is 1978 to 79. Now, X-Men 111 to 128, Annual 3, and then the Incredible Hulk Annual 7, as well as Marvel Team Up 89. But it's got the Muir Island story, which of course is the Proteus story. Also, you've got the Petrified Man, which is a real odd one, since he's obviously a ka-zar character. And you've got Savage Land as well, Sauron, Magneto, and so on and so on. Now, this is one of the slightly odd things. You've got a start story, the Incredible Hulk. So you've got the Incredible Hulk. Now, that was in the Champion Complete collection. I'm not certain why it's included, as it doesn't actually seem to make any impact on the story itself later. Maybe it does, I don't know. To me, I couldn't see any connection. Iceman and Angel, of course, are not part of the X-Men, so not at this point. So what's the point? However, just seems to be an odd inclusion, especially when it's already been reprinted elsewhere. It takes up quite a bit of a... So I'm certain there were better ones that they could have chosen, but who knows? However, let's go on to the actual X-Men. This is the first one. This is 111. Now, I started collecting in 109. I missed quite a few of the early ones. Don't know why, because they were really good stories, and for some weird reason, I just didn't pick them up. I think it's because of distribution issues in the UK, and of course, I could only really get them in London. Headed up to London occasionally, but not all the time. That's my excuse. Mind Games, and you've got this story, and it's a villain from the past. I'm not going to say who it is because it's a minor part of the story, but they're basically in this circus. They've all been turned into circus performers, entertainers. Right, the next story, on to Magneto. Good old Magneto. You can't beat a good old Magneto. Of course, Magneto, long-running villain for the X-Men, appeared probably more than any other, I would assume. I don't know. Certainly someone's going to turn around and say, maybe Sentinels. Sentinels, maybe. There may be some others that have appeared more. But Magneto, certainly in the early days, was the most regular. Of course, you've got all the regular cast. You've got Banshee, you've got Phoenix, Storm, etc., Wolverine. And you've got a nice twist. And I really love this story. This is where they're stuck beneath in this Magneto's lair. And it's a bit different from usual. I love the way that they could have actually run with this a bit longer. I think this would have been great for a 2 or 3, maybe 4 comics. Really could have spread this out a bit more and developed it. Felt like a bit like Logan's Run. I don't know why. Sort of a world of the nursery sort of thing. But anyway. However, that Magneto, of course, as it always happens, it doesn't work out for Magneto. Well, that would be a surprise if it obviously. But then also it causes problems for the X-Men, and they're split apart. And the story splits off to where the X-Men, Phoenix and the Beast, go off to see Professor X, and the rest are in the Savage Lands. And you've got Sauron, and as well as a weird appearance by the Petrified Man, or maybe the Grey Gargoyle, or something like that. But anyway, Petrified Man. That's an interesting character. Obviously, turned up in the Astonishing Tales ka-zar stories. But of course, Sauron's in the story as well earlier. So you got that. And then we're on to, I'm just going to go over there, I don't want to show the end of that. Then we've got Psy Wars, which is a nice sort of middle bit of the storyline. It's sort of more Professor X. So it's I really quite like this bit where you've got sort of, in a sense, the origin story of Professor X. As much as there is an origin, but it's a sort of a nice sort of, in the ka-zar kind of thing, or wherever it is that's supposed to be with Storm. Then you got Sunfire, so it's obviously over into Japan. I'm not certain, but Sunfire, whenever it always seems to be immediately stories go over to Japan. Not always, of course, but there was a bit of a minor character here. Moses Magnum. I don't know. I think Moses Magnum appeared in something else. However, it's quite nice where they've got some of the characters in this. You've got like Misty Knight turns up, and Colleen Wing as well. Obviously characters from Power Man and Iron Fist. So that's quite good. Not the world's greatest of covers. Some of these are great covers. But this is Moses Magnum. Make way for Moses Magnum. Really, a non-character as far as I can see. However, I did like this because it's got Christmas. Welcome back, Sean. Or Sheen. Sean. Anyway, Merry Christmas, it says. I love a Christmas story. Complete. And I'm just going to do a review in a few minutes on a Christmas book. So I love Christmas stories. And of course, next story is The Alpha Flight. Never a mega fan of Alpha Flight, though weirdly, you can see behind, an omnibus edition of Alpha Flight. They were okay, but I was never a mega fan. But I did love John Byrne art. That was and I love John Byrne art. Full stop. Absolutely brilliant. Then you go on to the story here where you've got, I love that Colossus. That's a real brilliant Colossus where he's crunching the danger, the trial of Colossus, which is a bit of a title, since actually, is it? Not really. However, the stories, there's a lot more. Again, you've got Colleen Wing, Misty Knight, etc. And also you've got Juggernaut turns up in the story as well. Then you go on to Arcade's Murder World. Now, this is the weird thing. Arcade, now I don't know the stories offhand. Marvel Team Up, 65. Why didn't they include that in here? To me, that would have seen, instead of putting the one that's the start, why not include the Arcade story? Would have made more sense, but they didn't. So, and also, of course, again, I don't know. I'm not certain what happened in Marvel Team Up 64, Marvel Team Up Annual 1. So, obviously, these X-Men maybe obviously met up with Spider-Man. But it's a real good story. I love the Murder Arcade or Murder World, whatever it's called, Murder World. What a great place to call. Must visit there. That's going to be the ton of love. Amusements. However, the weird thing is this inclusion of this. I mean, that's why I was saying it's odd that they got rid of one story when they included this one, which of course has got Nightcrawler, but if you're going to start including everyone, why not include Wolverine or whatever other people appearing in other comics? Just made no sense, because Arcade's in the story, but it didn't really had anything or particularly any point. However, the next story, brilliant bit of George Perez. Love George Perez's artwork. And you got good old Archon. Archon the Magnificent turns up. And that's a real good yarn. That's in the annual. And I really enjoyed that. Actually, one that I hadn't read before. So it's quite nice to read the story, and thoroughly enjoyable it was. Because I got the X-Men comics, but for some weird reason, I don't recall ever getting that annual and ever reading the story before. Then the book finishes off with the finale story, which is there's something awful on Muir Island, and you've got the Phoenix being tested by Moira McTaggart even. There's a lovely bit where you've got Professor X. Now, Professor X is no longer particularly around, and it's some lovely scenes there with Professor X. Obviously still around, but he's elsewhere in the storyline. So that's quite good. But the story itself is brilliant, this one. And also there's another storyline that starts up in this that's continued on, obviously, in the next epic collection. The Fate of the Phoenix is apparently in the next book, obviously Volume 7, when that comes out. I'm looking forward to that. Got that. I've got lots of the Phoenix stories. I really love the Phoenix. Now, the storyline starts with, of course, there's the character there, but you've got Proteus. Now, Proteus can basically mutant X. He's pretty, well, he's got quite a few powers, and obviously he's pretty lethal and causes lots of problems for the X-Men. And no, there's a twist to the story with one of the other characters. So that's really, really good stuff. Now, I loved that at the time. And I thoroughly enjoyed rereading this. This was just a great story. And it's nice with all the other characters that were involved as well. Then, that's it. So that's all the stories. Very, very enjoyable. But one of the best. I love. Actually, this X-Men period is a favourite. It's just got so many great, and the artwork as well. The John Byrne, Terry Austin, the artwork was just amazing. I just loved buying those issues at the time. And I've still got quite a few of them. Sadly, I haven't got them all. However, got some extras at the back. And you've got some quite nice extras at the back. You've got this comic reader one, which is quite nice, as well as X-Men are on sale, and also an advert there for Marvel Comics. I don't know. Satirical house ad, as it says. Also, you've got the usual inked pages, which are very nice. And then you've got the Incredible Hulk annual, plot and sketch breakdown. And then you've got some World Comics, World's Finest, nothing to do with DC, of course, World's Finest Comic Book Artist Portfolio by John Byrne. And then you also got some pencils as well, which is really good. And also a novel one. Marvel Superheroes. Never seen that. However, what a brilliant, brilliant collection. I really love this X-Men. This is, like I say, Volume 6, absolute classic, epic collection, X-Men. Totally, totally recommended.